For many years, CTE has been defined as a dumping ground for lower achieving or unmotivated students. So today I would like to share my thoughts as it applies to CTE related courses and their purpose in education. So Brian Jacobs shared a recent article in October of 2017 discussing the role of CTE in secondary schools. He says that it is well known that CTE has been on the decline for several decades. Starting in the 1980s, states increased the number of courses required for high school graduation and began mandating students take additional courses in core academic areas such as math, science, social studies, and a foreign language. These additional requirements, along with declining funding and the growing perception that all young people should be encouraged to obtain a four-year college, has led to this sharp decline in career and technical education. So, what are some of the challenges? Bill Hangley, author of Making CTE into a First-Class Option, discusses challenges related to dumping grounds. He says that one of the biggest challenges in evaluating CTE is that students typically self-select into such programs, or students' choices are circumcised by the types of programs offered in the nearby schools. In either case, it is likely that students participating in CTE are different in many ways than other people who do not participate. In terms of their personal abilities and interests and family background, because CTE is not the default pathway, the students who participate must be at least somewhat motivated and informed. So according to Jacobs, CTE encompasses this wide range of activities that are intended to simultaneously provide students with skills demanded in the labor market while also preparing them for post-secondary degrees in technical fields. So activities include but are not specific to career-oriented classes, but also internships, apprenticeships, and school programs designed to foster work readiness. Because of my experience with CTE, I have a hard time coping with a lack of student involvement and motivation. I was heavily involved in CTE and CTSOs. I was a part of FBLA and Skills USA. In both organizations, I had the opportunity to explore various pathways while at the same time becoming a successful young professional. I competed in many events like Skills USA Creed, Job Interview, and Public Speaking. I also served as a state officer for both organizations throughout my high school education. These organizations made all the difference in my life, thus increasing my motivation to become a successful young professional. So it deeply saddens me to know that CTE is a dumping ground for lower achieving or unmotivated students. Unfortunately, being a first-year teacher, I have witnessed a dumping ground within my very own classroom. Majority of my students have very little to no motivation at all, and some on multiple occasions have mentioned that the only reason they took my class was because they thought it was going to be easy. Our reputation inside and outside of our classrooms will determine positive or negative enrollment. I truly believe that CTE can motivate students to attend school more frequently and become more engaged, and lastly, this will lead to the improvement in core academic skills. In order to eliminate dumping grounds, we must identify student interest with school offerings, which should ultimately prevent dumping grounds and improve completion rates. Responsibilities may include, but are not limited to, providing marketing materials to elementary and middle schools at the beginning of each school year, providing representation and outreach during school fairs and/or events, and lastly, providing professional development regarding student recruitment and admissions work for CTE. So lastly, what is the role of our counselors in this whole prevention of the dumping grounds? Well, first off, our counselors need to be aware of and share workforce trends with our students. They need to connect with industry and community and develop partnerships, promote mentoring opportunities, Promote non-traditional career options for men, women, and historically underrepresented groups. Work on resume building, interviewing, communication, and job applications. Get involved with curriculum building and updating curriculum should emphasize and reflect industry standards. And lastly, emphasize maintain healthy lifestyles and soft skills, applied skills with your students. So lastly, what are you doing in CTE to eliminate dumping grounds? And is it working?